Yeah.
You need some water for those flowers. You need water for those.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this special meeting of the City Council of Fort Walton Beach. We do apologize that it is taking place 1 hour and 1 minute later than we had anticipated, but sometimes quality discussions ensue. We've called this meeting to order. We will now rise for the Pledge of Allegiance if you're able. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just as a quick reminder, please put your electronic devices on vibrate silent, if you would. We need approval of the agenda, Council. Motion by Councilman Jeter, seconded by Councilwoman DeBerry to approve tonight's agenda. Additional comments? Seeing none, Council, please vote. Just approval of the agenda, Councilman Walker. Trust but verify, right?
That's what
And the motion does pass unanimously, which brings us to item 4, resolutions. Resolution 2025-19. Mr. Burns.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Fort Walton Beach, Florida, amending the comprehensive fee schedule for fiscal year 25-26 and providing for an effective date. And I believe either Nicole or...
I'm going to do this one.
Ms. Neighbors.
Good evening, Council. As you all know, every year during the budget process, staff updates the comprehensive fee schedule. We do update it sometimes throughout the year for small things, but this is the big change that we all do. So all the directors changed or turned in their changes, and it was in the backup. Everything that is highlighted yellow are the things that are being changed. If you see a strike through, that is being removed, and if it's underlined, it's being added. And if you have specific questions, that department director will come up and answer those questions for you. I know Chief Beige had one edit that he wanted to put in there, and I don't know if you want to add one more thing, so. Oh, there he is.
So the one change I have is that if you look at the fee schedule for the police department, you'll see that for federal holidays.
Packet page 11.
Oh, package page 11. So you can see for federal holidays, that amount did not get changed. So it's police services, special events, federal holiday remained at $60. We'd request that go up to $70 because that just corresponds with the other increases. And on the second line below that where it says police services for special events less than 48 hours, that's a duplicate to the one above it. They're both the exact same language, the exact same everything. That should actually read police services for supervisors. So it'd say police services for supervisors, special events 48 hours or less, and that should also be the $70 rate. So those would be our two changes that we would recommend from the police department.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Neighbors, are you finished?
I'm sorry.
Are you finished?
Yeah, so if council has any specific questions for any of the departments, the directors are here to answer your questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Questions for any director or Ms. Neighbors on this resolution?
I wouldn't mind having thinking about our earlier conversation with sporting costs, and there seemed to be some eyebrows raised regarding the little leagues fees that they were looking at, and I just looking here 18 junior rates, public junior rates. Pines course has gone from $7 to $16. That's more than doubling. Member junior 9 holes went from 5 to 12. Why?
So we've changed our complete structure on all of our fees with the recent renovation of the Pines course. We've moved to more of a two-tiered pricing structure. So the Pines will be more expensive than the Oaks. The Oaks stayed very similar. From what I understand, that rate, none of those rates had really changed in the past 10 years. So they had to go up a little bit.
And I saw non-resident single, that was previously not even there wasn't a rate for a non-resident single.
Yes, sir. So in the past, didn't really make any sense, but we had a city resident and a county resident rate. And the understanding in the past, the way the course was run before, is anybody outside the county also got the county rate. So we're trying to track, especially when we just use county TDC money to better our golf course, we're trying to track the city residents, county residents, and then non-residents as well. So that would be somebody from outside of our county
Sure,
that
yeah.
wants to come use our golf course.
Makes sense. I just, I think we're all of us up here have, and probably you too, have mentioned the importance of athletics for our youth. And, I see, a $480 rate's been added, a $240, all those additional ones. And, then I look down here at these juniors. I mean, I just see it more than doubling for those kids that are wanting to get out there and play, and how important it is. It just seems like we could have spared the children.
No, I agree. The Oaks is still very similar to what it's been in the past. The only one that went up is the Pines course. Now, with that being said, high school practices, high school matches, stuff like that, when they're organized team activity, they don't pay to use the courses while they're with their school teams.
Gotcha. And I'm assuming there's junior rates on here, and I don't see it, but I was just thinking about that Little League group that came in here, and they were talking about sponsorships or scholarships for those who can't afford it. Does the city offer anything like that for
There's currently not anything. There is a program I would like to look at that I've used at other clubs in the past. It's called Youth on Course. I just haven't gotten that far in the first year. It's a subsidized program where it's a charity basically, where you sign on to be a Youth on Course. You charge a very minimal fee, and then Youth on Course actually matches the fee that you charge in a monthly check to the club. So that's something I am looking at in the future.
Okay, and just out of curiosity, why we just don't want them on the Pines, or is it?
Not necessarily. The Pines had a pretty tremendous investment in it. We're trying to make the Pines the more premier course to draw people to the area. So drawing people on vacation from Destin, bringing them into the city.
Gotcha.
And we want that to be the premium product.
Great, okay, thank you, that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else? Councilman Jeter.
Just one question while you're there. How many new members have you signed up in the last month since you hired them?
As of noon today, we were at 202 this month.
A new member
Since September 1st. 45 grand.
Wow. That's all.
I'm gonna steal one of your favorite words. Daggone.
Daggone.
Good,
Golly.
man. That's really good. Councilman
And
Schmidt.
to piggyback off that and to continue to support and advocate the user fee approach, advocating for continually to increment increasing those membership rates as the years go on. I know we can't just get it up to comp and market right away, but while the red light's on, while we're here, whether it's the juniors or whether it's the non-city resident memberships or the city resident memberships, it sounds like the demand's pretty high with those new members, which is awesome. We're glad we got new members. But back to funding those maintenance of the courses, or whether we get pickleball. I know we don't have anything right now in the comprehensive fee schedule for pickleball, but there's going to be a board up here one day that's going to have to try to figure out how to come up with the money to fund the golf course or to fund pickleball. Continue on to support not only this fee that's presented in front of us with the comprehensive fee, but keep increasing them because the demand's high. And if the user doesn't want to go play golf, then they don't have to.
And the other thing to take into account on this too, at the top of that page, is in the past, all of the fees at the golf course have included sales tax. Starting October 1st, we will not be including sales tax. So some of those rates are even, it's a little bit different than even what it shows on paper.
This is not included. Gotcha. Looks great out there. What you're doing is awesome, and it's staying in the black and not the red, which is a great thing, and very optimistic.
Thank you. Anyone else with questions for any of the directors or Mr. Hill while he's up here? See Seeing none, anyone from the public wish to speak on this resolution? Seeing none. Council, do you have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, so moved to adopt resolution 2025-19 to update the comprehensive fee schedule for fiscal year 2025-26.
Motion made by Councilman Jeter, seconded by Councilman Browning to accept and approve resolution 2025-19. Additional comments?
Yes, sir.
Anyone? Seeing none, council, please vote. It does pass unanimously. And Mr. Hill, I would just like to also mention my appreciation for what you do for all of our local schools and letting them use the course at no charge during their time out there. That's really admirable. That moves us to item 4.2, Resolution 2025-20, to adopt the fiscal year 2025-26 final millage rate. Mr. Burns.
Thanks, Mayor. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Fort Walton Beach, Florida, adopting the millage rate for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025 and ending September 30th, 2026, and providing for an effective date. And I believe Ms. Neighbors is going to present, or maybe it's Mr. Davis. Sorry.
Tag team.
He's doing something here, something halfway with Ms. Barnes, but it's a 7-slide presentation here, just chopped out the fluff from last time. It's pretty much all the same stuff. You got it? Okay, good. So again, 2.83 kept us under the 3%, and the operating expenditures decreased 2.35. There's your millage rate history from 5.7 down to 4.32. You see the incremental drop there. It's a little over $1.5 million that would have been used for projects and whatnot over the last 5 years. Taxpayers, saved $274 a month with that approach at the $100,000 rate, right? So for the $300,000 average median home, they save $6 a month. Anyway, there's our midpoint and our rollback rate. Those are the numbers we would have to cut out of the current budget if you want to get to either one. I will say that we can easily play with the CRA fund. Unfortunately, that works against your strategic plan of the beautification, and the general fund is pretty tight as it is. These are the projects that are not in the budget request that council has requested. It just doesn't fit, so maybe they'll go in budgets next year or an out year. Do not have the scenarios from the tax collector yet. They're waiting on our final budget. I may have misunderstood when we originally spoke. I thought he was going to give me that beforehand so we could discuss what could potentially happen should Tallahassee pivot, but I won't have that until we send in our final numbers. So, quick thank you, but Nicole and Carol, Carol came in sick. Carol had another issue and they came in all these crazy hours. We have reached out to the Doge people, right? They called me back, but they haven't scheduled a day. Our audit starts next week or the week after?
The entrance interview is on October 2nd, I think. Yes,
Okay, so,
October 2nd.
Yep, so they're coming in. I've sat down with that clan group, watch groups, and I've offered for them to come in. Anybody in the community come in, so that if they want to sit down, I'm getting a lot of emails from people that do not understand modified accrual, but if they want to come in and sit down with us, it's not like cash basis. So offer stands for anybody to come in, and that's kind of all I have, unless you have questions.
Thank you, sir. Questions for Mr. Davis?
Good.
Seeing none, anyone from the public wish to speak on this? I guess actually, do I need to do this statement now or after the motion? No?
Yeah, do for the motion.
Okay. The millage rate for the city of Fort Walton Beach, see, I got it last year, or last meeting, but I didn't know when to ask. Now I'm off my game. The millage rate for the city of Fort Walton Beach, Florida for fiscal year 2025-26 is 4.3282 mils, which is 6.62% above the rolled back rate of 4.0596 mils. The rolled back rate is the millage rate that will provide the same ad valorem tax revenue as was levied during the prior year. The reason for setting the millage rate at 4.3282 mils is to provide sufficient revenues to balance the general fund budget. We will now open the public hearing and ask for comments on the millage rate. Seeing none, we will now close the public hearing and ask for a motion and a second for Resolution 2025-20.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-20 to set the millage rate for the city of Fort Walton Beach at 4.3282 mils for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025 and ending September 30th, 2026.
Second. We have a motion made by Councilman Jeter, seconded by Councilman Browning, to accept the Resolution 2025-20 to set the millage rate for the city of Fort Walton Beach at 4.3282 mils for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025 and ending September 30th, 2026. Additional comments?
Yes, sir.
Councilman Walker.
Yeah, at the last meeting, I had a couple of questions regarding the tax increase that will be effectively put in place by adopting this, the 4.328. Did we determine what that rate, a tax increase was?
What tax increase?
Well, it's a tax increase based on leaving the millage rate the same.
Are you talking about the amount of ad valorem the city would get?
The increased ad valorem from the property taxes, correct?
6.62% of vote.
Or was it 9.65?
That's the budget. It is. No, the 6.62 is above the rollback rate. Are you looking for the dollar amount? It's not.
I'll take either or both.
Okay, so for the property values went up 9.65%. And Carol can pull last year's ad valorem and then we can get a difference to let you know. I don't have that offhand.
Yeah, I think it was about 600,000.
She's gonna have to go to her office and grab
I mean,
that.
the delta between the current rate and rollback rate's about, what, $600,000 of revenue? So roughly a
$600,000 tax increase, and that's just on, that's not including new properties added, right? New properties added. It does not include improvements that may be made either to the land or to a home. Those will come online, those will increase revenue, right? The reason I ask is, as you know, you and I had an email exchange on every one of those years that you presented those millage rates, and I was curious, when we did those rollback rates, the last two, each one of those years, or every one of those years where the rollback rate was in effect, the revenue still exceeded the budgeted amount. I don't know, you've used the 95%, but when you budget 95% and say we can operate on this amount, this is what we need to operate on, and you fund it, and then an extra $165,000 comes in from taxpayers, it just goes and sets in the general fund or gets spent otherwise. So I just wanted to confirm, we are, if this body passes this motion, that it will be a tax increase of somewhere of a minimum of $600,000 additional expected revenue from ad valorem, and then up depending on improvements and new properties added to the rolls. And to Mr. Davis, I appreciate your observation of what it does to a homeowner. It's only one expense to a homeowner that, whether it's $2 or $20 or $16 is, their taxes at the county have gone up. I think the county's somewhere in the 9% range. Is same question. They're increasing because we pay county and city, of course. So we're getting it from a tax increase from the city, a tax increase from the county, and homeowners insurance is through the roof, pun intended. So every little bit helps. And so, I'm hearing from people all of the time talking about their insurance, and it's just a disaster. It is an absolute disaster. And, I know it may seem small, but it's big to those that it really hurts and impacts. So I'll not be supporting the motion to raise taxes.
I dig on all that, right? And I think the easiest way for me to explain it is the math is the math.
Sure.
And What I mean by that is the revenues are trending down based on what we have, so we're gonna make less, right? In addition to our costs for everything are going up, so the math is the math. What we get out of that number is the project. What I've asked the team to do is present projects, one, that they can actually do in this fiscal year, two, that are necessary, not nice to haves. So they're necessary, so whether we pay for them now or we pay for them later, and they're just gonna keep trending up in cost. So your $2 increase this year might be a $3 increase next year if we still have to get to these, if we punt on some of those projects, if that makes sense.
It does, and that was interesting. Revenue trending down. What is, we got a $212 million increase in the city property values. What revenue's trending down?
We have a couple different lines.
Yeah, it's mostly a lot coming from the municipal revenues, like half-cent sales tax came in $300,000 lower than last year. There's a communication service tax, and all of those different ones have just been trending either flat or they're coming in underneath what they were before.
Are there revenue sources that are trending up? I know the FPL, the Florida franchise fee that this municipality puts on every utility bill in the city. I know electric rates I think it's a $9 billion increase FPL's looking for, and this, I think our tax on the utility bills is somewhere in the 15% range. Do you know those numbers?
When I did the annualization of that one, it came in slightly higher, but not anything material.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep, thank you.
Anyone else wish to comment from council?
With
Councilman Schmidt.
With some of those trends, thanks for sharing that. If not this budget process, maybe next year, what's the play on looking at direct costs or expenses that we can decrease? Not just capital projects.
No, I got you. I mean, loaded
Direct
question,
labor.
right? A lot of it might be driven by what the tax collector comes back from running those scenarios.
Gotcha.
So I don't know that I can answer that until I have some of those scenarios in hand.
Okay.
And at least give you a responsible answer.
Tracking. And projecting out as we develop into the next budget cycle, and I know we're just a few months into this together, but
I'd like to think with our beautification process, the property value is going to go up.
there you go. There you go.
I'm just thinking.
I'm a big fan of that program, but also a big fan of, as we know, trends are coming down, and I know we're on the second reading, and not much is, there's been a lot of hard work getting us to this point, but as we develop into the next budget cycle, if we know the trends are going to continue to decrease, just like most other business owners that Mayor Allegretto mentioned by name a little while ago, we look at, or they look at those other expenses, where to cut and where to help shore up some of those trends that are projecting down. So yeah, I just wanted to suggest that as we develop, because the capital projects is one thing, but that reoccurring direct labor cost and personnel is extremely expensive. And
We're going to look at a few options potentially that, people are going to freak out, but I have been asked by a few of the council to look at the sanitation and see if it makes sense to outsource that potentially, right? So everybody's going to wig thinking that's where we're going, but we're going to start working. If it makes sense, then we will. If it doesn't, we won't, so on and so forth. But some of those, and as I dive more into this budget process, it's a little foreign to me, right? So I'm learning it, but at the same time, poor Nicole's stuck with me starting in October instead of January, because by this time next year, I'd like to have a much better, firmer grasp.
That's awesome. Good stuff.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to comment? Council, please vote. The motion does pass 4-3. The millage rate for the city of Fort Walton Beach is 4.3282 mils for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025 and ending September 30th, 2026, which is 6.62% above the rollback rate of 4.0596 mils. That brings us on to our next item under resolutions, 4.3. It's resolution 2025-21. Mr. Burns.
Thank you, Mayor. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Fort Walton Beach, Florida, adopting the budget for certain expenditures, expenses, capital improvements, and certain indebtedness for the City of Fort Walton Beach, Florida for the year beginning October 1st, 2025 and ending September 30th, 2026, and providing an effective date. Mr. Davis or Ms. Neighbors, one of the two will present.
Sorry, I was reading a note from IT. I missed what you said. Can you,
I read the title, and it's time to present Resolution 2521, and either you or Nicole are going to present. So,
I mean, it's already been presented, so I'm not
Yeah.
quite sure what you're asking.
I think just the mayor should read the script,
Okay, then let's do that.
and then we can have discussion.
The budget for the city of Fort Walton Beach for fiscal year 2025-26 is $65,247,932, which is $4,689,606, or 7.74% more than the adopted fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. We will now open the public hearing and ask for comments from the public on the budget. Would anyone from the public care to comment on the budget? Seeing none, we will now close the public hearing and ask for a motion and second for Resolution 2025-21 to adopt the budget for the city of Fort Walton Beach for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025 and ending September 30th, 2026.
Mr. Mayor, so
Can we
moved
add a
staff.
couple of questions before we go into the motion?
I think because this is this kind of hearing and I have to read the script exactly, we'll just take a motion and if you want to ask
We can
some
ask questions during
that part,
Robert
we'll just do that.
scenario. I'm down with that.
If you're cool with that.
Mr. Mayor, so moved staff's recommendation for Resolution 2025-21 to adopt the budget for the city of Fort Walton Beach for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025 and ending September 30th, 2026.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Jeter, seconded by Councilman Schmidt, to adopt the budget for the city of Fort Walton Beach for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025 and ending September 30th, 2026 at $65,247,932. Additional comments or questions? At this point, we'll start with Councilman Schmidt.
Yes, the Liza Jackson parking lot, or that whole deal, have we awarded out that project, or is it still pending? I'm just trying to...
Now that the rec center stuff's done, the Liza Jackson stuff is there, but we don't have a permit from the Corps for the water improvements. Copy. That beyond our control on that end. So once we got the permit from the Corps, the structural people for the dock stuff, since it can change horizontally, unless you proceed it at your own risk, we don't have that part.
Yeah.
Now, could it go out and you get creative in the bidding? Yeah, probably. But we were also, I do believe, trying to find some direction on the rec center stuff too.
Sure, so what I'm here to say is right now it's not funded in the budget, is that program? Okay. The landing parking lot, the expansion of the landing parking lot, and I'm staying on the parking theme. When is that period of performance supposed to?
So the notice of receipt we'd have is October 6th or October 13th, based on a couple things with the homeowner.
Okay, all right.
That should be finalized this week.
So with one of those capital projects in that restricted account being the parking lot next to Florida Place,
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about the landing part.
I was.
Oh.
Yeah, I was going down different
All right.
parking
Okay.
programs that I was trying to better understand where the Liza Jackson, where it stood on the chute, and then the parking lot with the landing, and then there's the capital project, if I understood the budget correctly, the Florida Place
Correct.
parking lot next to the museum in that restricted account. Of course, we're all advantageous, or all aggressively expecting it to be done if it's in the budget, but do we have the bandwidth to do that parking lot this budget year next to the museum?
I do believe we do so. I mean,
there's
it's a secret.
500,000 in there.
And if that project were not to get funded in that restricted account, Nicole, it goes back to where? The restricted sales tax fund?
In the
Or
restricted fund of the house and sales tax. Yeah.
where staff could do other things with, inside of that restricted sales tax world, because obviously statutorily, from what I understand, is we're still restricted on what we can do with that sales tax. So it's not like we could use that to offset the millage or anything like that. But where I'm going with this is with a lot of parking projects that we have in the chute, and I'm still not convinced the permissible parking lot we have right now isn't the best approach currently where it sits. There's already a motion on the table to to approve the budget, but I'd like to try to get that project back to that sales tax restricted account for staff to do other things with, or other priorities with, inside of that qualified restricted sales tax world.
And we could do that, like if council decides that they don't want to do that project, we could just reallocate that funding without having to put it back in fund balance back. We could just reallocate it to another project. That's not a big deal.
And that would be the desire if the board has an appetite, where there's a lot of parking programs that we got. My understanding, our last meeting that we had, the CRA meeting, there's some great discussions the staff is having with the 5 property owners on the Brook Street parking lot. So a lot of parking questions. I know on Friday nights the parking lot is used next to Florida Place. I'd just like to see other priorities that staff has to use that sales tax money for, to do other things with, and seeing if there's an appetite on the board for that.
Just some thoughts to consider there. I dig either way. I don't know that I care which way we end up going, but it is being advertised as parking. It's not really a good standard parking lot, right? I'm worried somebody is gonna get hurt, whatever, in that dirt parking lot, because it is used. It's dark, so there was just, I don't think we'll be able to put that garage there, anytime soon. So the fact that it's being advertised as a parking lot, that it's city-owned property, that's some logic there to consider.
John Morgan's coming is what you're saying.
Potentially.
I'll watch out.
So, and again, every budget item that's got to this point obviously has some strong support on why it needs to be in the budget. So definitely don't want to question whether or not it's a priority. It's just, there's I think some upgrades that could be done. I don't know the cost and the impacts with lighting, other permissible products, rocks or things like that. Just not convinced right now that $500,000 is the best use for that project. And I'm sure staff and y'all have other uses y'all could use for that $500,000. So it's not a question of let's get rid of the $500,000 and lower the budget. It's a business conversation about do we want a paved parking lot right there off Florida Place? And is that the $500,000 is the question.
All good, and then if it's not going to go towards a parking lot, I almost feel like there's a liability concern that we should block it off from parking so people aren't using it. I am concerned about, Palm Beach, they sued me just for walking down the street, so I just have that sue everything in my mind.
What would be a rough estimate on lighting?
The whole project was $500,000.
But not the paving side of the house and getting it all up to code and parking lots and handicap parking and the pavement and all that, but from a lighting impact, without looking at the quote to do the $500,000 project. But
to do just lighting, is that what you're asking?
Right, from a safety standpoint.
Is that necessarily been a good idea? To do just lighting?
It'd be street lighting, so it would be conversion, and it might already be taken care of in our street lighting.
Yeah.
For CRA.
Yeah, I mean, again, just $500,000 parking lot, it'll beautify it, make it look better, but I have some concerns about it. I think I expressed it. I'm gonna let it lay there, and if there's no appetite on the board, and no discredit on trusting staff or anything like that, I just know that the $500,000 could be used for other things as well.
And I think some of the previous conversation was parking was already at a premium down there. We just don't have it. Because there's some of these events, but I don't know.
Because how many parking spots do we currently have at that Florida Place?
However they jam themselves in.
And then what would it go to if we paved it?
Now I need to get a code based on square footage and all that jive, so I don't know unless you've already done that math.
We conceptually done it before, but I can't tell you how many would fit on there. It'd have to be designed.
Yes, I just didn't know if there was a delta increase or decrease by paving it, if we get more parking or less parking.
Probably get more because they just jam themselves on there, right? You'll have proper lines and whatnot.
Copy. There we go.
Anyone else wish to comment on the motion or ask a question?
I'd like to ask a question.
Go ahead, Ms. Riley.
For Mr. Davis. We don't really charge for parking in downtown Fort Walton.
You trying to get me stabbed?
So I was just thinking, if you're gonna do the $500,000 parking lot, maybe you can make it.
I'm all about paying for parking and then putting that money back into paying for the maintenance of the lot, right? It's a restricted.
Right. I'm just talking, just for that particular parking lot, maybe a paid parking, meter thing with it. But just that parking lot, we put a new parking lot, that maybe. Just to prove.
I'm down with it, but
I'm just asking.
it's probably something that's got to come up from public since you start charging people, but yes.
I
that's
don't know,
what we
I'm
can.
specifically just thinking about that isolated parking lot.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Walker.
Yeah, Ms. Raleigh, I think some taxpayers would argue that they're already paying for parking.
Downtown parking, I didn't know they charged them. Where?
Well, it's just all out there. I mean, it's part of a $65 million budget. So that their taxpayers are supporting, and that's part of our business down there. But some would. It's not all would, some would. But yeah, I was looking at the numbers. I believe I asked it in the first meeting, and I think I'm getting a little more clarity here. I'm not sure if it looks like the tax increase is defined by the authorities that do it. A 6.62 tax increase was what was passed there. Nicole, and/or Carol, I know that we're wrapping up the end of the 2025 budget. Do you, just to date, do you know what the amended budget total is? I know we started, the approved is 65, so it was about $61 million was the adopted budget last year. Do you know where we've ended up on?
No, we're still waiting to our, after September 30 to do the last budget amendment. So that'll be like a couple of these few months of meetings when you guys approve things that weren't in the budget that we have to add, but we do that after September 30.
Let's just check your best guessing abilities.
Oh, gosh. She can go pull it.
I would love to see that. And while you're back there, if I know that one's recent, but the 24 as well, I'd like to see what the adopted budget was and the amended budget total, those two deltas, the delta. I'd love to know that, and that's all I have. And wait till she gets, y'all carry on. That's the only two questions I had at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else questions or comments on the motion that's been made?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
The rec center, I appreciate that email, but what's the play on once we get these bids and if we decide to award it, what direction are we going, staff, to get that funded?
So I've been in talks with Charlotte over at the TDC, TDD, whatever you want to call it, and we have a meeting with her on October 9th, and we've talked about we can't afford it. First of all, we have to do a bank loan or a bond to be able to do it. But we have about $1 million in our fund balance, our TDC fund balance, that I would like reallocated towards the rec center expansion, and then we can figure out what our payments would be, and then the TDC would commit the funding to help fund and pay those the bank loan payments each year. That's what we're hoping.
Good. Gives me a lot of comfort to hear that and encouragement to hear that. Awesome. So those are getting ready to be awarded here pretty soon, or back to the board to consider awarding them?
First meeting in October?
Yes.
So we had the bid tab, we had the bids. We knew what they're on. We have an idea about how much that bond or that note would be, and it's substantial.
Yeah, you're looking at $600,000-700,000 a year.
Yeah. So.
And the play is with that TDC funding that would help offset that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
What else do we have coming off of debt loans?
So October 1, our irrigation loan, the $1.5 million for the golf course, we're going to pay the last $300,000, so that is coming off the books in 26. I think that's the only one that I can, off the top of my head, that I know of.
The balloon payment's coming up here pretty soon.
In 28, I think, the $3 million.
That's the rec center.
The old rec center, yeah.
Anyone else? I'm sorry.
That's it. I just wanted to keep that on the radar with the rec center expansion.
Absolutely. Anyone else? Comments or questions? Council, please vote. And the motion does pass 6-1. The budget for the city of Fort Walton Beach for fiscal year 2025-26 25-26 is $65,247,932 with a millage rate of 4.3282 mils, which is 6.62% above the rollback rate of 4.0596 mils.
So,
We are adjourned.
we gotta find this Ponder address and get Miss Ashley